Welcome, everyone. In this topic, we'll explore several widely used OD intervention models, and we'll focus on a practical question that is, how do these models guide real change work? We'll start by clarifying what makes a model OD in the first place, because not every change model automatically becomes OD. Then we'll go through key models one by one, including the action research model, appreciative inquiry, and process consultation. After that, we'll examine popular change management models that are often used in organizations, like Kotter's model, McKinsey's 7S, ADKAR, the Kubler-Ross change curve, and Lewin's three-stage model. Before we jump into the models, we need one important idea. Not every change model becomes OD automatically. A model becomes OD when it is used in a way that reflects OD values, especially participation and facilitation. If a model relies on participants making decisions, where people in the change effort provide information, diagnose issues, and shape decisions, then it can fit OD practice. But if managers make all the decisions and impose them, or if a practitioner diagnoses privately and just delivers recommendations, that moves away from OD. OD is about facilitated change, and effective interventions address root causes, not just symptoms. Let's start with the Action Research Model, or ARM. This model is popular in OD because it structures change as a collaborative cycle between the practitioner and the client system. ARM promotes change by involving people in identifying the problem, gathering the data, diagnosing what's happening, planning actions, implementing interventions, and then evaluating results. In this model, intervention is not the first step. The early work, which is data gathering and diagnosis, is essential because it helps us avoid treating symptoms. ARM also includes what happens after implementation, which is evaluation, adoption, meaning the organization takes ownership, and then separation, where the OD practitioner gradually exits as the organization becomes capable of sustaining the change. Next is the appreciative inquiry model, often called AIM. AIM is a positive, strength based approach. It tries to create change by focusing on what is already working and how to expand it. AIM is collaborative because it emphasizes full participation and dialogue. Instead of beginning with what is wrong here, it often begins with when are we at our best. AIM is commonly explained using the 4D cycle. Discovery, which is the first D, is about identifying strengths and successful moments. The second D, which is dream, is imagining a desirable future based on those strengths. The third D, design, is being strategic and practical about what must be built today to move toward that future. And the last D, which is destiny, sometimes called also delivery, is where people implement actions and embed the new design into the organization's routine. So AIM changes the energy of change work. It builds commitment by building on strengths. Now let's talk about process consultation, or PC. This model is strongly associated with Edgar Schein and focuses on helping the organization improve how people work together through communication, relationships, group dynamics, and intergroup processes. A core idea in PC is active inquiry. Active inquiry means the practitioner helps create a safe environment, gathers information, and engages the client in diagnosis and action planning. It's not the case of the consultant solves it, it's more of that the consultant helps the client see the problem and solve it. One key principle here is very OD aligned, is that the client owns the problem and the solution. The practitioner's role then is to simply facilitate learning and better process, not to take over ownership. Cotter's model is widely used in organizations because it gives clear sequence for leading change. It begins with creating urgency, which is helping people understand that change is necessary. Then it emphasizes building a guiding team, creating a vision and strategy, strategies, and communicating that vision consistently. Next, it emphasizes empowering action, which is removing obstacles so people can move. Then it highlights short term wins to build momentum. After that, leaders build on the change, and finally, they make the change stick by anchoring it into the organization, often through communication, recognition, continued development, and ensuring people who block progress are addressed. Now, remember our OD lens. This model can be used in an OD way when participation and facilitation are real, meaning people help shape the diagnosis and decisions and not just simply receive orders. McKinsey's 7S model helps organizations examine internal alignment. It reminds us that change does not succeed if only one element shifts while others remain inconsistent. The seven elements are strategy, structure, systems, shared values, style, staff, and skills. One especially important element is shared values. The organization's core values and norms are often expressed through culture and work ethics. Shared values are described as foundational because they shape and influence the other elements. So the 7S model is useful as a diagnostic tool. It helps organizations see where misalignment might be blocking performance or change. Now let's move on to the ADKAR. ADKAR is a model that focuses strongly on individual adoption of change. So the logic here is simple. Organizational change requires individuals to change too. ADKAR stands for awareness, which is understanding why change is needed, D for desire, which is willingness to support the change, knowledge, which is knowing how to change, ability, which is being capable of performing in the new way, and reinforcement, which is sustaining the change through support and follow up. This model reminds us that communication is not one message, it's a process of building awareness and desire, supporting learning, and reinforcing new behavior so people don't revert to old habits. The Kubler Ross model, sometimes called the grief model, helps us understand emotional reactions to change. Although it originated in work on dying and death, it has been applied to workplace change, job loss, and other major transitions. The stages are often described as shock or denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. The value of this model is not to label people, but to help leaders and practitioners empathize. If people are in denial, they need clarity. If they're angry, they need to be heard and supported. If they're struggling emotionally, communication and reassurance become very important. So, this model can help organizations manage resistance and communication during difficult transitions. Finally, Lewin's model gives a simple and powerful staged view of change. The first stage is unfreezing, which helps people and systems let go of old patterns and preparing the organization for change. The second stage is moving or changing. This is where new behaviors, systems, or structures are introduced and practiced. The third stage is refreezing, which is stabilizing the change so it becomes part of normal organizational life. This is where reinforcement matters because when refreezing, people often drift back to the old way. As we end this topic, here's the key lesson. These models give structure, steps, elements, stages, and focus areas. But OD values guide how we use them. When change is facilitated and participative, people are more likely to own it. When change is only imposed, compliance may happen briefly, but sustainability becomes harder. Across models, sustainable change usually requires reinforcement and alignment, making sure systems, culture, leadership, behavior, and daily routines support the new direction. And that is exactly why these models matter in OD practice.